Being a difference maker is definitely not a one-size-fits-all thing. I think you find difference makers everywhere. And I think a core aspect of that is spreading love in the smallest acts and the greatest acts. That's where I think differences are made and light is shown in the darkness.
I actually started volunteering with the Ventura County Coalition Against Human Trafficking and was working at a general public primary care clinic trying to open up some slots where these particular patients could be seen for free. But the barriers that existed really caused me to have a high no-show rate. And so our idea was if we could open up a clinic that is specific towards this patient population and the access to this clinic, the goal is to have all of those barriers removed, if at all possible.
So in short, Healthcare for Justice is a nonprofit medical clinic where we provide free, accessible primary health care to victims and survivors of human trafficking and domestic violence. I think the bottom line is that there is no typical day. There are weird appointment times because that's the whole point, is we want to cater to what works for our patients. So we'll come out here at night to see them, or we'll talk on the phone whatever time we need to. As we fit into the Family Justice Center here, there's so many intentional and thoughtful touches that go into trying to make these spaces comfortable and relaxing and inviting and not sterile or cold or intimidating, and with input from victims and survivors themselves.
I always like to think that we're working like as a grassroots, bottom-up organization, starting with asking them, what would you like healthcare to be? And then building up from there.
For me, I actively feel God's presence. Those moments that I get to open the door and walk into a room and be with a patient, every time it's a gift and it's a blessing, and I feel His presence.
When doors were being shut in our lives and my professional career, and at the same time us just taking steps of faith when we didn't know how we were going to make this work, either physically or financially. And as we were taking those steps, doors open.
It's not always easy, but or comfortable, but that's not the point. So.
I'd have to say that we are where we are now in life, and a large part of that is because of our experience and time at APU.
Yeah, I completely agree. I had pretty formative experience at APU, and it was a time in my life where I learned to broaden the way that I thought about the world and the way I saw and perceived the world.
We were more than just a student in their classroom. We were people that they wanted to sow into.
From a faith-based aspect, the message to love God and love others was lived out in my life in new ways and thought about in new ways. And that's really the underpinnings of everything we do at Healthcare for Justice, is to love God and love others, especially when it comes to like the modern day widows and orphans, really the most vulnerable among us.